This is Anna Nicole, who has a gorgeous show coat, and we are going to fluff dry her right now. They sit an hour, they'll be too dry. So, the first stage, I like to use a high velocity dryer. This one is called the Monster. It's my favorite. It has a heat switch and a velocity switch, and you can adjust the velocity. I'm going to pretend it's on because it's very noisy. You can still brush the coat. It's not as easy, of course, it is with a stand dryer, but you're not going to brush right under the pattern. And this is my favorite brush. This is the brush. It's a universal brush. Don't get the soft bristles, get the regular bristles. Just be careful, because when the dog's hair is wet around the bone, like the elbow, the top of the head, anywhere there's not a lot of flesh, hip bones, hocks, elbows, you are more likely to brush burn, and you never want to brush burn your dog. Light, always light. The idea of fluff drying is you're going to straighten the hair out as it dries. So if you let it dry too fast, you're not going to get it straight. And it's very difficult to groom curly poodles because every time you comb the hair, it's in a different position. So what you want to do is you want to keep brushing it as it's drying. Now this dryer will take it all the way dry if we want, but we don't want that. We want this to get the most of the moisture out, plus straighten it a little as we go. So if this was on, I'd be going like this. I would be blowing at the edge, not under it, because that doesn't do any good. Okay, so you have to be a little ways away, and you're blowing close to the dog's coat. So as it blows the hair, I'm just keeping it a little straighter. And even though it looks like it's making it straight, in the end it won't be. You can't get them completely straight from this dryer. You need the brush, but you're not going to dry it all the way dry with this either. It's short, quick movements. They're short and quick because you're trying to keep the hair straight as it dries. If you go too slow, in between that brush stroke, it will curl up. Okay, so it's short, quick movements. But just be aware when you get to the head, that's a big round skull there. And if you're not super, super light, if you're doing a super light check with your hand, it shouldn't hurt your hand. You should feel it, but it shouldn't scratch it or hurt it. So you're going to make their head red. You're going to do a brush burn. You can use the high velocity dryer on ears. You have to be careful though, because you don't want to knot them up. So you brush the ear out first. Then you're going to put the dryer in one direction like this. And you're going to kind of plug the dog's ear a little because it's a bit loud. And you're going to go like this. And then like this. So, I'm going to plug the ear. You don't want to see the hair, which is a tangle right there, but you don't want to see it start spinning, then it's going to tangle. But as long as it's just blowing straight, it's okay. You cannot blow this way, of course, plus it might hurt her ears. On, say, a standard poodle, you might turn the ear over and blow the tips. You just want to stay far away from her ear hole, far away from that. And I'm, in fact, plugging it right now. You can do the top knot a little, don't do it much. Okay, now we're going to use the stand dryer, which is right there. That's a Demco stand dryer, and it gets nice and hot. You want this dryer to dry the hair quickly, but you have to move quick too. So I'm turning it on. Some people start with the head. The head and the ears take a very long time to dry. So I normally start with the tail. But for this demonstration, I'm going to show you the front legs. So I pick up her foot and I brush, flat brush. You never want to brush where you're just catching the first row. That would scratch. You brush, hold on to her firmly but gently, hold on to her toes, and brush up like this. And really, if you don't have a stand dryer, it's almost impossible to do a good job. You just can't. You need both hands. Now she has a little mat there. Just going to ignore it for now. I have to brush all around her legs. So often when people are learning this, they just brush the front, and oops, it's all curly on the inside. Oops. So you're just going to work your way over the dog, and beware of parts that have been shaved, because you're going to scratch her if you brush hard in those areas. Here's another area to be careful. Her hock. Very gentle. I can brush harder on the side of the thigh, but it's just quick, light, and fast. Quick, light, and fast. This is how you blow dry. Quick, light, and fast. You want it to dry straight. The fiber is getting straight, and dog hair is fiber as you brush. You want to get the inside of the leg. You can also train your dog to lay down. This is a customer's dog. I've not trained her to lay down. Sometimes it takes a long time. I don't want to take the time. I can just brush her and blow her dry standing up. Okay, the head. I didn't finish her body. Normally I would have, but I just want to move on to her head. I take the noose off so I can get her head down. I need her head down. So I'm going to go forward and back and up from the side. A lot of different directions. I want that straight. If her head is curly, I can't do her top knot as good. She won't look as good. So this part is where I'm going to brush burn her if I'm not careful. So I hold a nice flat brush, not digging in, a flat brush, and I do light, quick strokes. Okay, I'm not going to totally dry the head for you right now. How can you tell it's dry? Well, when it starts looking very straight. See how stringy it is? Stringy. See the stringy stuff? How very stringy it looks? When it starts looking straight and fluffy, it's dry. Okay, the ears, just like when we were blowing them, straight. Brush them straight. So when you're brushing the head, and again, we're using a Demco dryer. My favorite dryer, it's small, but it gets nice and warm, and it does a great job. It doesn't blow too hard for fluff drying. The noose is down. So, when the hair looks stringy like this, it's still wet. When it looks straighter and fluffier like this, see how it's becoming straight and fluffy? But I'm moving around. I keep moving because as I'm getting this straight and fluffy, this is still having air blow on it. And the air is going to dry it curly. Now be careful around the eyes. She will close her eyes, but slow down around the eyes. But on this part, I can go nice and fast, but light. Light. Practice on your hand. Ow, ow, ow. Versus even on the back of your hand, light, light. Now the dog has fur, so if it's a little bit scratchy on you, it's still okay on the dog. But it definitely shouldn't hurt. It's light and fast. Okay, I will come back to the ears because this is getting too curly. You aim this directly at the ear and you brush down, down, down. On the entire poodle body, you brush mostly against the grain, but in different directions, but not on the ear. You always brush to the tip. Even if you flip it over, you're still brushing to the tip, to the tip. So you brush down, and when it's up, you brush up. You're never doing this. You're never brushing against the grain on an ear. The top, yes. The actual ear, no.